Hello again.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Today is August 31st, the last day of the month. Okay, our month is pragmatism. And our last conversation with the theme pragmatism is consider your failings too. It begins with a quote by Marcus. Whenever you take offense at someone's wrongdoing, immediately turn to your own similar failings, such as seeing money as good or pleasure or a little fame, whatever form it takes. By thinking on this, you'll quickly forget your anger, considering also what compels them. For what else could they do? Or, if you are able, remove their compulsion.
Let's go through this one. So what is he saying to do? To think about what?
I think the second part is like an example, but the lesson that he's saying is like, whenever I'm taking offense at somebody else's wrongdoing, I don't like what somebody else has done, immediately turn to your own similar failings.
Similar failings. So because you're saying what you're saying that you don't like is their failing. So let's say I don't like how this person is, the lack of their communication. I'm really not a fan of the lack of communication, right? So instead of being like I hate how they're not communicating, you should turn to yourself and say like, oh hey, remember those times when you were really terrible at communication? Oh yeah. You probably still are pretty bad at communication at times too, right? Oh okay. So this is what he's saying, like kind of compare yourself and similar situation to your own experience, and then you become more humble with it or something, kind of.
Well, he's saying your anger drops because you get it. You get it's difficult to be this other person.
Gets replaced with
humility. Yeah, for sure, and maybe compassion too.
Sure.
Because ultimately, what pisses us off in other people is the stuff that pisses us off about ourselves.
Right. Or used to piss us off about ourselves. Like maybe we worked on something really, like me with communication. I really worked on it for a really long time. I'm continuously working on it, right? It's not like I finished it, but like I am working on it, right? And so
and you're working on it because there's part of it that bothers you.
It's because I used to be really terrible at it.
Right. And that's bothersome.
And now when I see someone who's terrible at it, I'm annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Instead of being like understanding of like, well, yeah, I get it. And maybe because, maybe I'm annoyed because maybe that's also like how I felt when my communication was bad, and when people were reminding me and telling me that my communication was bad, I felt bad and I felt inadequate or something, and now I'm like in that same position, but I'm not actually realizing that I'm ultimately saying the same thing.
Yeah, and for me, it also is like, I think what I get annoyed by is like, because there's things that bother me in myself, but they feel differently to me than they do to the other person. You know what I mean? So my issues, let's just take communication. My issues with communication feel differently to me than they do to the person I'm interacting with. So now when I get pissed off at somebody else's communication style, what I'm realizing in that moment is like I'm on the receiving end of their shitty communication. And now I get like a front row seat to what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that behavior. And it's like infuriating. And I'm like infuriated at some subconscious level that I'm not aware of. It's infuriating that I would have created this situation for somebody else. It's like embarrassing, and because I want to think that I'm not creating these ripples in the world. I wanna believe that
your communication is very clear.
That when I show up in a room, I'm just creating peace amongst everybody. But that's not the reality. The reality is I show up and I'm creating these frictions for other people.
Sure.
And
Everyone
now
does that, yeah.
you're reminding me of the friction that I create for other people, and I don't like to confront that. And so now I get pissed off at you because I'm like, I have this crazy feeling inside. I don't know what to really do about it except for to be like, that's offending me. I don't like what's going on here. It reminds me too much of how I am like creating ripples in the world, and I don't like that.
Well, that's a good thing to look at, I guess. That's a perfect place to start, right? Like, what is all that in there? Yeah.
Look, our little hummingbird friend, he's on his branch.
Oh yeah, hi buddy.
I think every thing we filmed in August, he's sat on the branch for part of it. He's a cutie.
All right, Ryan, what do you got for us?
Coolio. Ryan says, earlier, we were reminded of Socrates' tolerant belief that no one does wrong on purpose. The clearest proof of that hypothesis, all the times we did wrong without malice or intention. Remember them? The time you were rude because you hadn't slept in 2 days? The time you acted on bad information? The time you got carried away, forgot, didn't understand? The list goes on and on. This is why it is so important not to write people off or brand them as enemies. Be as forgiving of them as you are of yourself. Cut them the same slack you would for yourself so that you can continue to work with them and make use of their talents. Ryan's thing makes me think of, I don't know where I picked this up originally, but there's this idea that like we judge ourselves based on situational factors. I'll explain what that means in a second. But like we judge ourselves based on situational factors, and we judge other people based on character factors. So we're quick to understand all of the different contextual pieces of the pie that like fit together to create our bad attitude or whatever it is, and we see that clearly and we're like, well, yeah, I'm in a bad mood because this is going on and this other thing is going on and this thing is crazy. But when we see other people in a bad mood out there, we're like, oh, they're in a bad mood because they're an asshole or they're a jerk, and we don't see those situational factors that are like creating this complex narrative for them that they're just like really doing the best they can, juggling a lot of balls that they don't know how to juggle.
Yeah. Makes me just think of that. I definitely have places where I can be more compassionate about that stuff, with others, Because I don't write people off. It's not like what Ryan was saying, like, oh, it's like you have this, but there is a tendency of like, oh, this person is just like, I don't want to deal with him. I never want to talk to them. Please go away from, like you want to distance yourself from them. I don't have that as much anymore, I would say, because I definitely used to have that, and there's still some relationships that I still treat like that, like we're not reconnected, you know what I mean? But it's but like I don't treat people, if that person connected with me or something, or we would somehow connect, like, okay, now it's okay, you know what I mean? But like new relationships that I'm developing, like I noticed that I don't have a lot of the rejecting of the person, but there's definitely frustration and kind of annoyance about the, how they are processing things, how they're looking at the world through their eyes, right? And there is like frustration with it because they maybe I cannot express exactly how I'm seeing it, so they can also see that, and then they would understand that what they were just saying is off, right, or something. But like I'm frustrated that I cannot explain it to them in a way that they go, oh my god, aha, this is great. Like they don't have this moment. Maybe they have it afterwards someplace, but they don't have it in front of me, right? So it's like they're not getting it, and then I'm trying to explain this, and again, when the in the quote it said, like think about when you went through all of this, right? It's like yeah, whenever you started, whenever you excuse yourself with the sentence, I was just trying to.
Right.
I was just thinking about that. I was just trying to help. Well, yeah,
Right.
but it didn't do it, right? So we all have these moments in life, like yeah. I mean, they're not. It's yeah. You can't avoid them, and you shouldn't avoid them. And if you avoided them, then you wouldn't have the other result of what that thing creates in your life, which could be a resolution or happiness, or like, oh wow, now that's clear. Oh, that feels good, right? Like you will never have that. So it's very important to have these obstacles in there in order to then also have the opposite of those obstacles, right? Which is like, yay, I figured it out, the obstacle. That's when we're actually like kind of happy. So yeah, good stuff.
That's a wrap on August.
Sweet. Thank you, August.
Thank you, August. Thank you at home, and we'll see you here tomorrow for the 1st of September.
Bye, guys.